Hello, everybody. This is Badar Boy, and we are back playing Suzerain, the Nasserist Run of Suzerain. Now, today's stream is going to be shorter than the usual. That's because I started much later than I had originally anticipated. But it's all right because we're still going to be playing, and I'm going to be streaming today, tomorrow, and the day after. Now, something to keep in mind is o- okay. I'm gonna be fully honest with you guys. All right, first things first. We just started chapter 3, okay? But before we delve into it, oh, there's growth. That's cool. We're growing, even though we have 916 budget. But I don't think this will be persistent because, and I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, we might be heading towards a defeat. You see, the event of the trade war, the global trade war, is triggered at anything below a -7 in the budget. We had a -8, and it triggered. The fact it triggered means we are fucked because it fucks with the economy. And now, because it fucks with the economy, add to it the fact we have a -16. We are 16 billion in debt. This means we are heading towards a debt crisis. And the debt crisis will fuck the economy and therefore will fuck us politically. We might be assassinated. However, even if that's the case, I'm not abandoning the run. There is a possibility that all of our investments and trade deals might might have a synergy with one another, and therefore we can probably get a recovery. Now, of course, I'm going with the anti-corruption police and investigating the oligarchs, meaning I'm going to be able to prevent a capital flight. Because let's be real, a debt crisis and a global trade war with capital flight, I wouldn't mind my people hanging me in the streets. Hey there, Critical, what's up? Now let's look. Heartbreak for FC Enrica, okay, football, I don't care. Board ignores the Polish plight. Volkish man shot after burning Angolian flag. Alright. The 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 issues that's going to take place with the Highland Islands, excuse me, are going to start right now. Good thing we did not form an alliance with Agnolia because now we can actually talk to Foxland and probably get some support. And because, it'll be like Nasser buying the weapons from Czechoslovakia. Nasser was always closer to the Eastern camp, even though he always wanted good relations with the United States. But the United States support to reactionary regimes in the Arab world and to Israel always stood as um, as an obstacle in that way. And there was a time the relationship was heading towards better betterment when Kennedy was president, but then he got shot, and you know, Lyndon B. Johnson was a fucking Zionist. So anyway, back to the game. The Hellenland protests that started against the governor who was appointed by the Agnolian government are continuing without slowing down. After the supportive statements by Chancellor Hegel, the Volgish protesters assembled in front of the governor's office in Heliport and waved Volkswagen flags. One Volgish protester was photographed as he climbed the flagpole of the governor's office and brought down the Agnolian flag. He was shot by the Agnolian authorities on the island When he attempted to burn the flag with gasoline, protesters claim he was shot in the neck and was killed immediately on the scene, while the Agnon government has not released any statement about the subject. The incident sparked further unrest and protests turned into riots around the island. Many Volgish protesters are now calling for Vogsland to save them. Chancellor Hegel was quick to respond to the incident, saying Vogsland stands together with her people in Haliland. The regime can murder its citizens because they protested. If this conflict continues, Vogsland holds the right to intervene to save her people. Essentially, Haliland is Cyprus, if you guys haven't figured it out yet. Let's see. Uziren, BFF recruitment. It is reported that in the villages around Uziren, a group of BFF missionaries are seeking to recruit militants to fight for the BFF. Governor Brown reported that the gendarmerie forces in the area are now actively working towards eliminating the threat. Right? A call from Marcel Coronti. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting. I was in my office looking through the agenda for the upcoming meeting at the Ministry of Economy. The meeting was going to be about the ownership of the Big Four, the four largest companies in Sorland: Heart of Sorland, Berger Steel, the Swedish State Corporation, and Nedam Mining Group. Some of these companies were controlled in part or entirely by the state. The others were mostly or completely privatized. I had the power to change that. The phone rang and I put the agenda down. Pick up the phone. Greetings, Mr. President. I'm sorry to disturb you before such an important meeting, but I thought now would be a good time to talk about our arrangement. I'm sure you'll agree that support I and my network have given your administration has been nothing but beneficial. Half of the non-state media in the country has been sharing positive news about you and downplaying negative events. I'll say our partnership has been successful so far. I'm glad you agree. Your public opinion could have nosedived were it not for us. I heard him knock on wood. On another note, I can't help but mention your tax hike, Mr. President. The increased taxes have made a substantial dent in HOS net's profit. This has hurt the backbone of the Swedish economy. So I assure you it is nothing we can't endure. Unfortunately, we had to tighten our belts whenever we could. That way of thinking is correct, but you acted wrongly. This will only serve to damage our economy in the long run. He paused for a few seconds. Out of goodwill, I will share a key piece of information. The Lotherberg Group has contingency plans if you decide to do anything rash that would disrupt their empires. You can't blame them, can you? Imagine someone trying to take your authority and personal wealth away without your consent. I would say we will only ask for a reasonable share, nothing out of the. I would say I don't see why we should be enemies. Exactly! If anyone plays their cards right, it will be all fine. Now, let's talk about those cards. Since the start of your campaign, you've adamantly promoted a planned economy. Going with by that, I'm worried that you will attempt to nationalize Sorland's largest private corporations. Nationalization as a concept goes against everything my father built and stood for. If you do want to go down this road, I must insist on you excluding HOS from any such plans. That is my most important request. You may recall that one of the terms of our agreement was that I may ask you for one favor. Well, this is it. We don't need to be enemies. No, we don't. As long as we both understand what entails not being enemies. I always keep my end of the bargain, Mr. President. Don't forget. You had better keep yours as well. He cleared his throat. Before we end the call, there is actually one more thing I would like to discuss. I will be blunt. Mr. Tux is unfit to be the spokesperson for the Lotherberg Group. His archaic thinking has only preserved a status quo that benefits himself and precious few others. It is high time something changed. Who do you have in mind to replace him? I'll say, who do you have in mind to replace him? Who do you think? Me, of course. Here is what I propose, a win-win situation. If you could use your powers to make Bergia Steel, Tusk's main company, state-owned, he would lose considerable influence, which means I could take over. If I take over with your help, I will be forever indebted to you and support you in all your goals, be they re-election or something more. How does that sound? I'll have to think about it. Just think about it, that's all I'm asking. Well then, I have taken up enough of your time today. This has been a productive call. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. Thanks, Marcel. Talk to you later. Goodbye, Mr. Karanti. After a couple of minutes, I went back to reviewing the agenda. You see, I'm gonna finesse the oligarchs because I am gonna nationalize their businesses, and I'm gonna. Oh, okay, Operation Bear Trap. That's cool, I guess. Tourism, city information, refugee camps. Oh, okay. Wait, the city is currently home to a large number of refugees, the majority of whom are Bloodish and have recently fled from Welland. Many of them are living in makeshift camps outside of the city, where living conditions are very poor. Illegal crossings rise at Welland border. Excuse me. Border police have reported an increased number of arrests as Bloodish and Wessex refugees attempt to enter the country from Welland. Temporary detention centers have been erected in Urizen to process the deportation of the illegal entrants. Massive rally condemning President Train. A massive crowd has gathered in Uziran to condemn President Train for his recent statements defending the soulless interpretation of citizenship rights. People are calling for actual changes to be made to the constitution that recognizes the Bloodish people and their culture. They believe that the president's defense of the continuation is a clear indication that the government has no intention of introducing significant reforms. Motherfuckers, I have designs beyond your own fucking comprehension. I am gonna give you your right. Just give me a fucking second. I gotta deal with the fucking nationalists and keep up from going full fucking Nazi on you. And I also have to deal with the reformists not fucking shit up. And I have to deal with my own party and the fucking economy and try not to get blown up by a fucking terrorist from the BFF. The thing is, my friend, and I know I'm sounding condescending to you, bloodish people, but you gotta trust me on that one. Like, don't trust me on the economy. Genuinely, don't trust me on the economy. I'm telling you, we're entering a debt crisis. We're gonna be fucked economically. But I am gonna give you your rights. I am gonna give you your rights. But I am just struggling with, you know, forces beyond my own control. I might be the president, but I'm not the only one with power in this country. Public opinion in cities like Lakaven, known for their significant middle-class liberal population, is undergoing a noticeable shift, with a surge in support for Bloodish rights. The case for Ishval Erzen has struck a chord with many individuals, leading to a growing sense of empathy and solidarity. Recent statements from officials of the WPP urging the government to incorporate changes to Article 6 and 7 have resonated strongly with the surge population in these cities. Calls for reform to recognize and protect Bloodish rights are gaining traction, and there is a palpable sentiment among residents that the time has come for a meaningful change. So, like, I'm gonna put Bloodish under the umbrella of Swedish civic nationalism. However, I'm also gonna give Bergia an autonomy. So, like, you get to do whatever the fuck you want in Bergia within, under, the grander country, but at the same time, you kind of have to concede a little bit because, there's fucking fascists I gotta deal with, or rather nationalists that are borderline fascists that I don't want them to go full Nazi and start a race war because they might be trying to do that. At least a faction of them. Let's read the news. Supreme Court holds Governor Braun accountable. Holy shit! See? Motherfucker, see? I took the right choices here. In a groundbreaking ruling, the Supreme Court has charged Governor Braun for his implementation of the divisive resettlement order in the special zone of Bergia, targeting individuals referred to as swords of different blood. The court's decision reinforces the principles that equality and justice must prevail even at the highest levels of power. Governor Braun's removal from office and the accompanying fine demonstrate the court's commitment to upholding the rule of law and safeguarding the rights of all citizens. In a testament to the constitutional process, the court has appointed Herbert Kroll as seasoned member of the NFP. Fuck. Okay, we put a nationalist in charge as the acting governor until the end of the term. While the court ruled in favor of Ishval Erzen's argument regarding discrimination, it rightfully recognized that the Constitution already guarantees equal rights for all, rejecting his arguments about the conflicts within the Constitution. The ruling emphasizes the importance of respecting the constitutional framework that safeguards individual freedoms. As Abirkul assumes the office, it is crucial to support his leadership and provide a conductive environment for the special zone of Persia to thrive. Together, we can move forward, upholding justice, equality, and the vision of a united Sorland. All right. Okay. We're gonna take the W whenever we can get it. We're gonna take the W whenever we can get it. Kurdish community in Israel expressed outrage and demands meaningful reform. Yeah, whatever. Bloodish Democrats condemn President Rain. They can suck on a popsicle, like the childish assholes they are. Supreme Court decision falls short of justice again. Refugees suffer because of rain. Yes. Motherfucker. You know what? Nasser was right jailing fucking communists. Nasser was right jailing communists. It's a joke, by the way. It's a joke. It's a joke. Arcasian Kinali relations, a fresh chapter. After tense negotiations, excuse me. After tense After tense negotiations, including a critical dispute resolution between Kinal and Arcasian private military companies, Arcasia and Kinal have successfully restored their diplomatic relations, marking a significant milestone in global geopolitics. The restoration of ties comes amidst growing tensions within the ATO, as Kinal displayed signs of distancing itself from full membership to observer status, leading to a delicate balancing act. All they do is whine. Yes, exactly. All the communists do is whine. Like I've spent time around socialist circles online, and I've figured out that they're never gonna get anything done. They just shout at each other, "You're a fucking revisionist." They if you're not, and like they're sort of like religious zealots. Like if you're not my type of socialism or communism, or you do not uphold this point some guy said 200 years ago, then you are not a real one, and you are a fascist, and you are a liberal, and then you are what's wrong with the world. Like I reach a point where I can roll with social democrats, I can roll with socialists, I can roll with communists, I can roll with liberals, as long as I want to get shit done, as long as I want to actual progress. I like even if a little bit of it, I take it over nothing. Few steps over time, whatever you can do to change things, you should do it, because let's face it, socialism is something from the 20th century, and it's a very labor focused ideology, and it was a good ideology, and I subscribe to it. However, I also realize in the 21st century things are different, and we are heading towards a post-labor world. So, will socialism survive? How will it change? I do not know. I'm just trying not to get, you know, super murdered over here. Lebanon has been getting news from diplomatic sources, especially Egypt, that war is coming and shit will hit the fan. So, hey, let's try and wrap up this series as soon as possible. The ATO's response, including warnings to PMC CEOs and concessions to affirm Kinal's autonomy, underscores the strategic importance of this member state. Kinal will remain a full member of the ATO for the foreseeable future. Cool, I guess. Supreme Court finds Governor Brown guilty. Today, the Supreme Court has charged Governor Brown for enacting the resettlement order with discriminating against sources of different blood living in the special zone of Bergia. The court ruled in favor of Erzen's argument, and Governor Brown was fined and removed from office. However, the court did not agree with the other arguments put forward by Erzen and maintained that the Constitution already provides equal rights to everyone. As for the replacement of the governor, the Supreme Court ruled that in extraordinary circumstances such as this, deputy of the governor shall assume duty until the end of the term instead of president appointing a new governor. The deputy who will assume the office is Herbert Kroll, an old member of the NFP. The court's decision has garnered mixed reactions from the public, with some applauding the decision to hold the governor accountable for his actions, while others remain skeptical about the effectiveness of the ruling, citing the continuing discrimination against Baloch people. Most of the Baloch population of Persia condemned the decision, especially due to Governor Brown's replacement, who they believe may prove to be worse than Governor Brown. Fuck. Okay, requested meeting of Lucian Galadi. Lucian scheduled some time with me to discuss the potential political repercussions of the upcoming economy meeting. He arrived on time as usual and took his seat right across from me. Good morning, Mr. President. Lucian had dark circles below his eyes. The plethora of political developments must have been weighing on him weighing even on a workaholic like him. You look a bit tired. Are you getting enough sleep? I am trying to, sir. Don't push yourself too much. I will try not to. I must say, you don't look much better. I look at myself in a small hand mirror. Similar circles were beneath my eyes as well. So true. So fucking true. This week has been exhausting for me. I had to leave work early today because I was very fucking dizzy, couldn't concentrate. I booked some of your time to pre-plan for today's meeting at the Ministry of Economy. But before going into the economic direction, I want to give you a short status update. After you and Mr. Kibener made your statement in support of soulless constitutionalism, the Supreme Court prioritized the case and quickly announced a verdict. It was very clever of you to use soulism against them. They couldn't afford to look like hypocrites, so they must have moved on it very quickly. The court ruled that Felix Braun is to be relieved from his position as governor for abusing his powers to discriminate against Swedish citizens. He is banned from serving in any political positions in the future and will be charged with a fine of 5 million Swedish rand. Damn! The resettlement policies of Bergia are ruled to be unconstitutional and have been revoked. However, the court has also rejected Erdogan's arguments about the constitution, ruling that all citizens of Sorland are swords because of ethnicity and are completely equal before the law. The results received a mixed response from the large community. Activists, radicals, and BFF sympathizers have condemned the ruling. However, the majority seems to recognize that justice has been served. Good. This is such a Sadat coded thing. What more do these activists want? They only want to see the bad side of everything. Maybe Saul wasn't so wrong about his policies. Oh my god, this is so Sadat coded. Thank you for informing me, Lucian. Do you have any idea on how to proceed? Soulless or not, this is good news. Berger will finally be free from Governor Brown's racist rule. I agree, sir. There is one more important detail. The seat of Governor of Berger must be filled. Normally, the President appoints the Governor of the Special Zone directly. I'm afraid, despite Mrs. Morgana's protest, the court decided to take a completely different route on this. Mr. Hawker argued that a premature departure of a governor during that term is an exceptional case. They ruled that the deputy of Governor Brown will assume his duty until the end of the term. Mr. Kiebener might have played you, unfortunately. The deputy in question, Mr. Kroll, is a member of the NFP. I'm afraid the court delivered Berger straight to the NFP's hands. Fuck. This is very bad news. What do we do now? Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it, sir. Luckily, Mr. Cole will not be able to resume any of his predecessor's unconstitutional activities. Of course, giving such a powerful position to far-right nationalists is still very concerning. Luckily, Miss Morgna is already working on the semi-autonomous zone in Bergia. We may still be able to get rid of Mr. Cole that way. However, there might be a problem with its timing. It would likely be ready after the vote for the amendments. If the vote succeeds, as we've been working for, your limited decree powers won't be enough to enact a change this grand. I'm afraid you won't be able to enact this change without the approval of the Assembly in that scenario. It will be very hard to convince them to revoke the special zone, but with Mr. Braun, an important fundraiser for the USP, gone, the party may be willing to move against Governor Kroll. Ooh. Governor Kroll, do we have a face to him? It's ridiculous. Tell her to work faster. It needs to be finished. I'm sure we can find a way to convince the party by then. I should paint Mr. Kroll as a threat to the party's rule. I believe we can take advantage of partisanship and get them behind us. Of course, that's a clever strategy, sir. Took a look at his watch. For now, let's return back to the real reason we are here, our economic direction. We need to be cautious. Any grand plans about the economy also heavily influence our political standing. We would be changing our relationship with the old guard, the oligarchs, and the opposition. As you know, this meeting will give you the opportunity to alter the ownership of the Big Four, largest corporations in all of Sorland. We can start the process of nationalization or privatization, or we can just keep the status quo. Again, I remind you that any change will tip an already fragile balance. I personally think we should stay out of this and keep things as they are. There is no need to make new political enemies at this stage in our term, but ultimately the decision is yours. What are you leaning towards? How should we move forward? We will nationalize these companies. Nasserism, let's go! I have to ask, why? What is your intention? I cannot allow a major part of the country to run without my input as president. The organs must submit to me. Truth be told, I don't care what anyone thinks or says. I will do what I believe in. Okay, let's go with the first one. It's true that the more control we have, the better. Your administration still bears responsibility if we let the organs determine the course of the country. One thing to remember is that since you've been transparent about promoting a planned economy, nationalism will not cost us much support. Lucian took a note on his notebook. I received a report from the Ministry of Economy that may impact your decision. Unfortunately, we have missed our government budget targets for the current quarter. The plan to change the ownership of important assets could help us generate much needed resources to further improve economic development for the next election. It's just something to consider, as is our relationship with the oligarchs. We might be aiming for nationalization, but we need to remember that they only care about their own profits. Unfortunately, we aren't on good terms with them. This situation has been obstructing some of our efforts in the economic recovery. If our nationalization plan hurts their assets too much, we may end up at war with the men who control much of the economy. Excuse me. The oligarchs must be destroyed. Seizing their assets is the way to go. Death to exploitative capitalism. Only national capitalism, national non-exploitative capitalism may be allowed to exist. So under the Nasser system, at the very start at least, the whole foundation of the regime was basically a union, the union of productive forces, the peasants, workers, students, which includes teachers, soldiers, and the national non-exploitative capital. Of course, over time, the regime moved more towards socialism and started sidelining national capital. But I think we'll go with this: the big assholes controlling everything and making life worse need to go. The only way to avoid being damaged by such a dramatic action is a surprise takeover. Some of my connections indicate that there seems to be a contest for leadership in the Lotharberg group. Looks like Master Corante is making moves to become the key figure. Corante probably wants his father's seat as the head of the group, and Tusk doesn't want to let go of it. It's a significant power struggle considering these are the heads of Sorland's two largest private corporations. Because we are going down the path of nationalization, we will have the power to tip the balance towards either side. Since you have already made the decision to nationalize, you need to be decisive in your follow-up actions. Marcel tasked to contact you. I received a call from Marcel. What did he ask for? He wanted to make a deal to leave uh, HOS untouched. And then I said I'd think about it. Very well. Was that all that he wanted? He also wants me to nationalize Berger Steel to take down Tusk. As I expected. This internal conflict among the oligarchs puts us in an interesting position. Our relationship with Walter Tusk hasn't been good so far. Any move we make now has to be calculated and thought through. Lucian looked at his watch. Very well then, it's almost time. I'll inform Mr. Hall of your decision and we will make the necessary preparations to formulate a plan. I must get back to work now. See you at the next meeting. Thank you for your time, sir. Lucian got up from his chair and left the office. Oh, corruption tackled. The successful implementation of successive anti-corruption policies has led to a significant reduction in illegal activities, thereby improving the efficiency of the system and strengthening the rule of law in Solent. Government's effort to combat corruption have resulted in the prosecution of high-profile corrupt individuals, sending strong messages to others who may be tempted to engage in such activities. Well, at least our welfare system is all right. Oh fuck. Oh, this is bad. Yeah. At least small businesses are growing. And diplomatically speaking, okay, let's look at the news. Increased support for British rights outside of Persia. New governor of Persia, Herbert Kroll. Right. WBB condemns Supreme Court decision. Okay. Walker's capitalism versus Devereaux's reform. Sarkozy's election drama unfolded. Charles Devereaux, the Reformist Union Party, emerged as a formidable challenger to President Dwight Walker. Devereaux presented a vision divergent from Walker's staunch Arcadian capitalism. He argued for a more balanced approach between the public and private sectors, suggesting that unchecked privatization and deregulation could breed systematic disparities. Highlighting the country's signs of economic stagnation, he attributed this to not only the considerable expenditures of the ATO alliance and Arcasia's vicious standoff with the United Cortana, but also the socio-economic structure itself. While Walker's legacy resonates with many Arcasians, Devereaux's message captured the hearts and minds of a sizable contingency concerned about the widening chasm of inequality. As tensions heightened, especially among the Hamburgian migrants and Arcasians, the choice seemed to be between maintaining an aggressive capitalist trajectory or reconsidering the nation's socio-economic foundation. Hmm. Tensions keeps rising in the Marcan Sea. According to reports from the Agnolian government, the Volkswagen fleet, which has been patrolling the Marcan Sea, was directly responsible for the disappearance of two fishing vessels, a drilling ship and an oil tanker that belonged to Agnolia. Prime Minister Van Horten called the Alliance of Nations to investigate the incidents. The Prime Minister condemned Chancellor Hegel in his speech yesterday, saying the Chancellor is trying to imprison us in our homes with his show of strength. But he should know Agnolians are not scared. We are always ready to fight for our home. Okay, Arvory. Falkland Navy active in Marken Sea. The Heliland island has been disputed territory for many years between Agnolia and Falkland. The Solent standing on the sideline, Falkland's increased Navy activities in the Marken Sea are heightening a standoff between the two nations and sharpening the rivalry for each other. Mixed reactions of protests against Supreme Court decision, according to the reports the British people. Despite Governor Brown's dismissal and energy, the rage on the streets soon turned to protest, with demonstrations calling for reform. Some also demanding resignation, citing a lack of sensitivity and towards the British community. The situation remains tense, but there is working to maintain order while also okay. Rebel. BFF threatens attacks against President Train and Kizaru Gibbon and motherfucker. According to intelligence reports, several leaders of the Blood Freedom Front held secret gathering and rebelled following the Supreme Court's decision to check Ersa's arguments about the racism of the Constitution, reiterating their commitment to solarism. Following the meeting, the BFF released a statement rejecting the Solis Constitution and threatening to launch attacks against President Train and Kisaru Kibener. Well, bring it on, motherfucker, bring it on. Herbert Kroll assumes office. Peacefully as cool. Kroll has also emphasized whatever. Okay. CSP launches first 3 spy satellites, sleep and surveillance, marking a significant leap in its surveillance capabilities. The CSP has successfully launched and operationalized its first 3 spy satellites. Equipped with advanced imaging and radar technology, these satellites represent a critical step towards the CSP's defensive preparedness and intelligence gathering prowess. Satellites codenamed Katyituk, Validim, and Oknihi will be operating in the low Earth orbit, providing a continuous and broad coverage across potential regions of interest. They are designed to deliver high-resolution images for detailed intelligence analysis and incorporate advanced radar systems capable of penetrating cloud cover or darkness. This technological advancement undercovers the CSP's commitment to a robust security framework and effective intelligence. Alright. WPB condemns the Supreme Court. The Workers' Party of Plotty has issued a strong condemnation for the Supreme Court's decision regarding the Erzen case. In a statement released by the party, they expressed their deep disappointment and disagreement with the Supreme Court, which they believe is actively enabling the discrimination and inequality faced by the Dutch community in the country. WPP argued that the Supreme Court is further perpetuating the marginalization of blooded people and disregarding their legitimate demands for justice and equal rights. They called for a comprehensive review of the justice system and ensure fair state treatment and equal opportunities for all citizens. Ownership changes of major corporations. Lucian and I arrived at the Ministry of Economy. Assistants took our coats and showed us into the meeting room where Simon, Edith, Gus, and Michael were waiting. As soon as I entered, their chatter stopped and they stood up. After a few pleasantries, everyone but Simon took their seats. He opened his briefcase, produced a folder, and proceeded to go over some of the documents. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Ministry of Economy. Without further ado, we are here today to discuss our economic move towards nationalization. Both Michael and Edith had their arms crossed and frowns on their faces. They were listening intently. Mr. President, before you arrived, certain individuals in this room were voicing their opinion against a nationalization plan. But as I understand it, the decision has already been made. Exactly, I will not be swayed. Let's move on to how we can go about implementing a nationalization plan. Mr. President, he handed me and everyone else in the room two neat stacks of documents. Please turn to page 14. Turn to page 14. Heart of Sorland. As you can see on the document, the first corporation up for discussion is Heart of Sorland. Led by fledgling CEO Marcel Coronti, HOS has recently observed a boost in their revenue. They control many media organizations across Sorland. It is possible to see their imprint everywhere from newspaper stands to convenience stores. In fact, they own more than half of the media products in the country. We all know how much of an effect media has on politics. That is the reason I think we are to nationalize any corporation. HOS should be our target. I must add that I myself am against fully nationalizing any of these companies in principle. However, we could partially move ownership of HOS to the state in access to their income to help end the recession and provide for our citizens. I am inclined to agree with you from a political perspective. However, if we are going to nationalize HOS, I think we should go all the way and fully move its ownership to the state. What would the effects be if we fully nationalize Heart of Solna? They'd be disastrous, is what they would be. Thousands of assets belonging to Marcel Coronti would now belong to the state. This would scare off many investors and most likely stop new money from coming in. I am against fully nationalizing any company. But if you insist on nationalizing something regardless, I would pick HOS. And why is that? Marcel Coronti is growing too powerful too fast. The next thing you know, he could even have control of the state newspapers. What if we just assume minority ownership of HOS? At first glance, a minority share might make sense, however, I don't think it's a good idea. It would only serve to make Coronti angry at the state or retaining enough power to damage us. In the case of HOS, I do agree. What about the majority share? I believe this is the way to go. We would have board control over HOS and supplementary funds for government projects. It's a win-win situation. Theoretically, but we could still be making an enemy out of Marcel Coronti. He wouldn't be as powerful, of course, but I believe it's safer to move him off the chessboard entirely. Let's move on to our next option. Very well, please turn to page 37. Turn to page 37. Bergia Steel. It is the largest private corporation in the Big Four and therefore the largest in Sorland. It has been at the helm of steel manufacturing for many years. It is led by current CEO and Lotherberg spokesman Walter Tusk. I believe all of us in the room are familiar with him in one way or another. What can I say? They have been widely successful since their founding. They have achieved renown not only in Sorland but worldwide. I believe we shouldn't attempt to break something that is already working and against the nationalization of Bergia Steel in any capacity. Not to mention any amount of nationalization would be disastrous for both Bergia Steel and Sorland. Much of our steel trade is reliant on their manufacturing capabilities. Any sudden change there would be like throwing a screwdriver in a working engine. No matter what, we should refrain from nationalizing them. It could result in an economic crisis. I don't have so strong of an opinion, but I would say that nationalizing both Berger Steel and HOS would be quite unwise. What would the effects if we nationalize Berger Steel? Where do I start? They are quite literally the backbone of Soren's private economy. If you do this, you will anger many powerful people. Trust me, you don't want that. I understand the predicament, but it is necessary. I don't see how this is necessary. You can simply not do it and you will achieve peace. What are your thoughts on a minority share? As I mentioned, I am against making changes to Berger Steel's ownership. We should leave the company as it is. I tend to agree, but only because HRS is the weaker of the two and it is less risky to deal with them as opposed to a giant like Berger Steel. What would be the outcome of taking a majority share? This is, of course, a better option than full nationalization, but that doesn't mean you would not face adversity. Majority share means Berger Steel would experience a massive drop in status. This would surely anger a man like Walter Tusk, and if I may make an understatement, he is not a forgiving man. Well, motherfucker, I am the president. I am the president. No need to be afraid. If push comes to shove, I will handle it. It's the administration I'm worried about, not only you. I'm ready to make a decision. Sounds good. Let's go over the documents once again then. I read all of Simon's documents once more, then flipped to the last page. It was time to make some decisions. HOS is the multi-industrial corporation, tens of billions. Full nationalization. Full nationalization. Fuck it. We're gonna Nasser. We're gonna be Nassering in this bitch. Let's go. I signed the documents outlining the ownership of the Big Four with a flourish. Simon leaned back in his chair. So, this is the path we are taking. This is absolutely ridiculous. Simon, please tell me you are not fine with this. Please tell me that Mr. President did not just sign this order. He just did, Mr. Avon. And there is nothing you can do about it. Michael turned to me. His eyes were wide open with rage. He was clenching his fist so hard that his hands turned red from exertion. What? What have you done? You... Michael, don't, please. You idiot! Go back to your master like the dog you are and tell Mr. Tuck you're... Not tell Mr. Tuck you're through. Oh my god, no, that... No. Please calm down, Mr. Avery, otherwise I will have I will have you removed. Michael! I am very sorry for my colleague's behavior, Mr. President. I hope you can look past this. I'm sure Michael is sorry too, right? I am sorry, Mr. President. I lost my cool. Don't make mistakes. I forgive you, for I am a forgiving man. I am unlike Walter Tusk. Thank you, Mr. President. Come, Edith. We must report the outcome of this meeting. I'm not going anywhere. Michael turned to Edith with a sour face. His eyes were shooting daggers. Suit yourself. And Mr. President, Mr. Tusk will hear about this. You can rest assured. He packed up his bag and started making his way to the entrance. Lucian got up from his seat and interrupted him on his way out. Put his hand on Michael's shoulder and spoke with a calm and soft voice. I'll be watching you. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, Lucian is a scary motherfucker because he is loyal. Okay, he's not a psychopath. He's not a psychopath. He will tell you when he doesn't like things. However, he is loyal to you at every step of the way, except to the very end. Because if you do shit Lucian doesn't like, and there's a chance to have you replaced through a party election, he will support your enemies. He is not your friend. Lucian is your strategist. He works for you. You're his employer. If he doesn't like you, he's gonna jump ship, but only once his job has been fulfilled. Hey, maybe turning him into vice president would help him. Edith leaned forward to get closer to my ear. Mr. President, I've had my fair share of experience. I understand when the cards are stacked against me. I want to assure you, you'll find an ally in me. Sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to working with you. That's great to hear. I must leave now as well. That will be for today then. That will be it for today then. You know, it's a good thing we signed the supporting the central bank, which Edith is its chairwoman, I believe. Yeah, she's the chairman of the central bank, because that will soften the blow of a debt crisis. And having her as my ally, facing the oligarchs, this is good. I know everyone here has very busy schedules. Thank you all for coming. Good work, everyone. Indeed. Put the documents in my suitcase and left the room with Lucian. Okay, I lost money because I privatized shit, but let's look at our overview, economy-wise. State control expanded. To expand the control of the state, The government has taken the decision to nationalize private companies. By taking control of these companies, government is able to allocate resources more efficiently and strategically, which will have an impact on the economy. Yes, which I need to save my fucking economy. It's not a want, this is a need. CSP uploads Solon's nationalization initiative. Fuck yeah! You know what that means? That means I'm gonna have a deal with Hegel soon. Solon's recent nationalization initiative has been warmly welcomed by the CSP, viewing it as a strategic maneuver to control key sectors of the economy. The move to bring vital enterprises under state control exhibits Solon's priority to safeguard national interest, ensuring that essential services and sectors remain immune to potential exploitation. The initiative extends beyond economic implications, signifying Solon's commitment to social welfare and equitable distribution of resources. It also conveys a clear message about the government's role as the guardian of public interest, especially in sectors that have substantial impact on the lives of its citizens. As the nation continues to nationalize its critical industries, the CSP applauds Solon's efforts to maintain balance between economic growth and social equity. Does that mean you will give me money? United Education Language Act. The Grand National Assembly advanced the Unified Education Language Act (UELA) to strengthen national unity and facilitate consistent, comprehensive learning across Solent. Section 1 stipulates that all educational institutions in Solent are required to conduct their teaching in the country's official language, except in the case of foreign language instruction. To offer courses in any language other than Solish, institutions must obtain explicit approval from the Ministry of Education. Any universities, technical colleges, or other education institutions found to be non-compliant will face a temporary suspension of operations that they apply and receive the necessary approval. Section 2 of the UELA underscores the enforcement of the Act. Schools found to be in violation of these guidelines may face penalties, which may include reduction or withdrawal of funding. In severe cases or cases of persistent non-compliance, total shutdowns may be enforced. This enforcement mechanism reinforces the commitment to a unified language policy, ensuring a cohesive educational experience across the nation. I'm gonna sign this, and I explained my reasoning last stream. And I believe if I sign this was issued by the nationalists. If I sign this, there's a possibility they might support me on the Bergia issue. But unlikely, I feel. Is updated. Oppression of Polish people. Policies update education. You gotta be shitting me. Actions taken by the Soviet government are clearly designed to oppress the Polish population in the country, causing civil strife and institutionalized racism. This is causing increased tension in the social fabric. Shut the fuck up! Holy shit! Like you still, the idea is you are living in a Solent with an official language. Okay, it's a good idea to learn a unified language. It's like America is a country where there's many people from across the world, but they all learn English. In the Soviet Union, Russian was a united language. You know, in Arab countries, Arabic is a united language. It's only in Iran, Persian, Farsi is a unifying language. Despite the plethora of people living there and different ethnicities all living together in more or less harmony. So why can't we have this? It's so fucking stupid. You are still allowed to teach Bloodish as a language. You are allowed to teach Bloodish as a language to people. You have that right. I'm not gonna take the language away from you. What am I? Skullface from Metal Gear Solid V? That's fucking stupid, man. They can still teach your own language. However, education would be in the Swordish language, and that's better because, okay, let's say you go out of Bergia and move to a whole sword on a scholarship or some shit. You need to have already studied in Swordish to understand what the fuck they're gonna teach you there. Like, fuck off, game. No, this game is bullshit. This game is full of bullshit. There's also the economic direction. Let's go with this. With the nationalization decisions made, all that was left was for Solon's two most prominent oligarchs to sign the paperwork, and so I called them both to the palace conference room. Lucian showed Marcel Coranti and Walter Tusk in. They sat across the table from me, leaving one empty chair between them. Two oligarchs looked at each other, then at me. You are making a terrible mistake. To put it mildly, you can't just take away our entire life's work and expect no repercussions. This might be one of those rare moments where we are aligned, Marcel. Well, it's rare a president does something this colossusly stupid. Completely nationalizing Solon's two biggest private corporations. Are you fucking insane? I have already made my decision. This is nonsense. Mr. President, I beg you to rethink this decision. Lucian fanned the agreement papers out in front of them. Mr. Coranti, Mr. Tusk, they are the agreements that pertain to the nationalization and the transfer of your shares of the state. He pointed to various sections and pages in the stack of papers. You will need to sign here, here, here. I thought we had a deal. Walter scrutinized Marcel closely. We had a deal. I wish there was an option to say, the deal has been altered. Pray we do not alter it further. We had a deal. No, this can't be. Marcel buried his head in his hands. I had a gut feeling, President. I knew you were not to be trusted. I knew you would end up destroying everything Sorland stood for. I should have destroyed you when I had the chance. I played you like a damn fiddle. And look at where we are now. It's over, Walter. I have the high ground. Screw you! Gentlemen, don't make this more difficult. Sign the papers. Marcel's shoulders slumped in defeat. I don't have a pen. Neither do I. Hand him your own pen. I handed him my own pen with the presidential sigil on it. There is no way out of this, is there? No. Walter sighed. Fine, I will sign it. In a painfully slow manner, he signed the documents. He handed my pen to Marcel. Marcel signed the papers. Now what? Give me back my pen. Because, pen, the pen is state property. It's state property. It's not mine to give away. Give me back my pen. Marcel half-heartedly extended his arm across the table. The pen was still too far away to reach. Get up, come closer, and give me back my pen. Marcel got up from his seat and gave me the pen. You will never forget what you have done to us. Your time will come too, Rain, believe me. I will be blunt. We will do everything we can to make sure you never get a second term. Don't you realize how much dirt I have on you? You will pay for backstabbing me. I swear on my name as a Coranti. What kind of fucking dirt? What dirt do you have on me? I have been on the straight and narrow all this time. You simply said, I'm gonna be nice to you in the media, and I might ask a favor of you one of these days. I'm like, well, do whatever the fuck you want, doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. Tusk gave me a payment, it's just a gift between friends. A donation. It's a gift. It doesn't mean I have to give him a fucking mega project for his company. I just Nassered them. Motherfuckers. If you are going down, you are going down with us. Most of the assembly, it's out of my hand. You will learn what it means to hurt Walter Tusk, President. Guards! Two guards immediately entered the room. Mr. President, we can't let them threaten you like this. Mr. Coranti and Mr. Tusk have shown you both what I'm capable of. You will not threaten me or else. I will not say don't worry, Lucian. I've launched an investigation that will uncover all of their dirty secrets because they're gonna clean house. They're gonna delete the group chat messages. They're gonna delete their browsing history, clear their browsing history. I'm gonna see no need for escalation. They don't have any power anymore. I won't underestimate what they can do, Mr. President. With their connections and influence, they could cause us untold good is down the road. Mr. Conti and Mr. Tusk, I showed you both what I'm capable of. You will not threaten me. Or else. Or else what? Do you know who we are? I've been chewing up and spitting out such spotters that you wear in diapers. I wonder how you'll do that now that you don't have any teeth. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, if you're ever gonna roast oligarchs, get Lucian on your team. Oh, that was cold. Walter ignored him. Marcel, I've had just about enough of Sorland, wouldn't you say? I couldn't have put it better myself. I hear the weather in Arcadia is lovely this time of year. Walter looked at me. I'll see you and your trained monkey in hell. Lucian didn't move. I saw a muscle in his jaw twitch. Marcel and Walter packed their belongings and exited the room, closing the door loudly. Faction update. The oligarchs. Oh, so Michael Avon is now the new head of the oligarchs. That's cool, I guess. Police launched successful raids. Earlier this week, the police launched raids on shops and warehouses in Albury City or City. The corporations are illegal firearms and drugs. The police in charge that released a statement saying that the shops are from the two notorious crime families, the Skinner and the Coronelli family. Those operations were only possible due to the law enforcement budget increase, has allowed us to push investigations of the local police, which are the corrupted ones, and getting information about their networks. Said the Ministry of Interior. It appears that thanks to President Anton, law and order will soon come back to Solent. Nationalization of Heart of Solent and Berger Steel. Today, the economy announced that ownership of the two largest private corporations. This move is expected to reduce the extraordinary amount of control of the oligarchs have over social economy. The former CEOs have been silent on the matter. Okay. The Economist. Strains hostile takeover. Oh, fuck off. Geopolitics. CSP criticizes Stromberg and Caucasia. The Condamned Security Pact recently issued a stark condemnation of Stromberg and the Grace network of monarchies, accusing them of attempting to reverse trends set by the Statue of Revolutions. Arcadia, too, found itself on the CSP's lens, suspected of maintaining covert links with Stromberg. This statement from the CSP further intensified the ongoing ideological tug of war. Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! CSP support! CSP support! Let's go! Right. Okay. HOS nationalization. Before leaving the Heart of Solent's ex-CEO Marcel Coronti had released a statement titled "Freedom of the Press is dead in Solent." However, there is an overwhelming wave of support from within the USP applauding the administration's decision. With HOS under control, public opinions are fully within our grasp. I mean, hey, it doesn't hurt for the election campaign. Berger still nationalized. The Rothenberg Group spokesperson Walter Task has shown his discontent by calling the administration's actions unconstitutional and undemocratic. A significant number of investors, both within and out of Solent, are canceling their orders, most likely due to Mr. Task's influence. Fuck them! Fuck them! Ooh. Numbering forms of whistleblower escape. Lumberg has informed us about an escaped whistleblower headed to Solent. They have prematurely requested the extradition of any whistleblowers from the Rumberg if they are to be found. Charleston Hailstone, the said whistleblower, is reported to possess highly sensitive information about the cover weapons program. Green Beatrice Livingstone's administration has demanded the immediate return of Hailstone, considering his defection as a breach of trust between the two nations. Bitch, please. Morella lauds Solon's nationalization move. Morella, under the leadership of Prime Minister Almas Sultana, has hailed Solon's comprehensive nationalization plans. Calling the Morella and Unified Front socialist leanings, Sultana praised the decision as a stride towards economic justice and sovereignty. She expressed hope that this bold move would inspire similar policies across Mercopa, fostering a future marked by economic equality and shared prosperity. Excuse me. Positive presidential approval rating. Recent approval rating polling conducted by Chief Strategist Galade has shown that we have landed above the 50% presidential approval rating. Our administration's performance has been confirmed with a diverse poll taken by thousands of attendees from all regions of Solent. Well, we had this report before in the series, but now again, this is reassuring. Assembly vote on the constitutional changes. Fuck. Okay. So out of the frying pan and into the fire, huh? Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Okay. Fuck. Let's get this constitution reworked. Serge was driving me towards the Grand National Assembly for today's historic vote. It was a big day. I wondered whether my attempt at change the constitution would end any differently than Alfonso's. I looked out of the window as the noise of the city diminished and saw that we were already inside the palace complex. Complex housed the buildings of all government branches in the center of Folsor. It was one of the biggest developments in Sorland. The Maroon Palace stood on a small hilltop surrounded by trees. We passed by the palace and entered the forest that separated it from the Grand National Assembly. We drove on the small road that wound through the forest. It was a warm day, so I rolled down the window. I could hear birds singing from the trees. It's a beautiful day outside. Birds are chirping, birds are singing, flowers are blooming. I'm gonna be Sans right now. Sans from Undertale. Speaking of which, I should play Deltarune sometimes. Probably not on the channel though. Are you okay back there, sir? Hey, Serge. Hey, Serge, I'm okay. How are you doing? I'm as good as I can be, sir. Serge made a left turn out of the forest and entered the vast garden area of the assembly. Do you know that Mr. Tarkin's soul came to Holsroad this morning? I heard some politicians talking about the day. Apparently, this is the first time he's come to the city in the last 5 years. I thought he left the mainland and lived on Duro Island, never to return to politics. But they were saying he might be here to exercise his Member of Honor rights for the first time. Wait, what? Slow down, Serge. Are you sure? Yes, sir. I overheard several men talking about it around the gardens of the assembly. It could be just rumors, of course. Do you think he's here because of today's vote? Yes, Serge. Most likely. Well, I'm sure he will support you, sir. I doubt that. Serge drove inside the gates of the parkway and parked the car. We have arrived, sir. Thank you, sir. Before you go, I want you to take this. My father had this pocket watch. And he said it protected him from the evil of this world. I want you to have it. He opened his hand and showed me a very old looking pocket watch. It looked like it was made during the Century of Revolutions. I will take the good luck charm. I looked at the back of the watch. It was made in 1920. I put it in my front pocket and gave my thanks to Serge. Opened the car door. This artifact is gonna save our life one of these days. Good luck with the vote. I walked up with the white stone stairs of the Grand National Assembly. The entrance looked like a temple gate from the classical era. The door opened to reveal vast corridors of wood and white stone. I joined the crowd of people who were walking slowly towards the parliamentary hall. Suddenly, I noticed Lucian emerge from the crowd of black politicians in front of me. He looked relieved when he saw me. Ah, sir, there you are. Have you seen Vice President Vector? He's nowhere to be found. I've just arrived here, Lucian. I hope Mr. Vector arrives soon, too. At any rate, how about yourself? Are you ready to finally face the assembly, sir? Lucian, I've just heard something worrying from Serge. We'll address that later, sir. Come, we must go inside. We followed the crowd to the parliamentary hall. After we were inside, Lucian and I separated to take our assigned seats. I went up to the mezzanine overlooking the hall and sat down. I waited as the MPs took their places inside the hall one by one. After a while, I saw Gloria walk to her elevated seat at the center of the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We will shortly begin in today's agenda of the USP's proposed changes to the Constitution of Solent. After a short while, everybody was in their seats. According to the current constitutional amendments required a two-thirds majority in order to reach assembly approval. If the vote succeeds, the approval will be sent to the Supreme Court. The proposal in question includes these points. Start reading the proposal to the Assembly. First, the section of the changes, Article 57, is modified with the following. Continue reading the proposal highlighting each section. Section 2, paragraph 36. She went on. Many may not exercise his right to, and on. The justices of the Supreme Court, most of the MPs seemed like they were already falling asleep. A simple majority is considered. The seat was really hurting my back. Section 4, paragraph 44A. It felt like an eternity had passed. Finally, she finished reading the changes. I hereby invite all of you to vote. She struck her gavel down. The loud bang made some MPs jump up in shock as they woke up from their deep sleep. As I previously stated, it will require two-thirds majority in order to pass. You may now cast your votes. I felt the need to stand up and stretch. I looked down at the hall from the platform I was seated on. Some assembly members immediately walked to the ballot box to cast their votes. Most of them, however, began to congregate in groups around the hall discussing the changes. I will sit back down and keep watching. I'm not gonna make a scene. So some people cast their votes, but many were still walking around the hall or talking to each other. Then I noticed Pizarro keeping it approaching. He stopped below the mezzanine and looked up at me. I go down to talk to him. I went down to the floor and approached Pizarro. Mr. President, how are you feeling about the vote? Very positive. Even knowing you don't have our support, how domestic of you. I have lost my respect for you, Mr. Rain. So many problems in Scotland that must be addressed, and yet you insist on stalling us with your democratic reforms. With your democratic reforms. I knew you will fail. You will lose the game, and so will your entire administration. I hope to be there when it happens. Keep hoping, Mr. Kibener. He laughed. He already turned away from me and walked towards the seat. Then I saw Lucian waving at me. He was among a group of people in the corner of the hall. I walked up to him. On my way, I bumped into Mansoon Leke. Mr. President, I'm sorry I didn't see you there. I wish you good luck with the vote. He gave me a cold stare. Excuse me. He changed his tie and walked away. I finally reached. In my mind, Mansoon talks like Bernie Sanders. I finally reached Lucian. By now, deep conversation with another member of our. By now, in deep in conversation. He excused himself and turned towards me. Sir, you vote yet? You have to be quick. No, let's vote. I signed my vote and prepared the envelope. Together, Lucian and I walked to the center of the hall to cast our votes. He kept rushing me through the process. Gloria bowed her head slightly in respect as she saw us vote. Lucian pulled on my arm and whispered to my ear, President, we have a problem. Tarkin's soul is here. I know. You have to accelerate the voting process. We need everybody to vote as soon as possible. And we don't know what he's capable of right now, but if the assembly members see him, he might influence them against the proposal. Should I talk to him? I would advise against that right now. The assembly must focus on the vote. Any confrontation between the two of you will draw their attention away. I'll go and ask Gloria to speed up the voting. She banged the gavel several times and sounded across the room. Ladies and gentlemen of the assembly, we will soon begin counting. Please cast your votes if you haven't already. The pace in the hall definitely increased. The groups dispersed and MPs began lining up in the ballot box. Suddenly, Lucian pulled me aside. Sir, what do we do? Pointing at the back of the assembly near one of the exits. I followed his finger to see Tarkin's soul sitting there. He looked much older than he had 5 years ago. I could tell he had the same fire in him. Some MPs had already gathered around him, were chattering and all. The assembly gradually went quiet as people started to notice those present in the hall. I go talk to him. We should refrain from giving him the spotlight he expects. And maybe you can address him after the vote. As I was talking to Lucian, I spotted Sarah keeping her walking to the back of the hall towards Tarkin's Soul. He bowed in front of Soul and gave him a military salute. Seeing this, more people started to approach him. Suddenly, Gloria came up behind us. Gentlemen, why don't you go back to your seats? Let's follow the procedure. Oh, by the way, We have 251 members today. As you can see, the member of honor is here. He has already cast his vote. Has he now? So, Mr. Story, how many votes are missing? Only a few. Albin Clavin and three other men approached us with their envelopes in their hands. And these must be them. Good day to you, gentlemen. Madam Speaker. Good day, Mr. Calvin. I'm sorry to take so long, President. There was a friend who needed more clarification for his vote. He gestured at the men behind him. Let's get this over with, gentlemen. They went ahead and cast their votes. Let's win this, Mr. President. They walked to his seats with a fist in the air. Now, why don't you two go get back to your seats as well? Very well, we shall. We both went back to our seats when I returned back to the mezzanine. I saw Peter sitting in the chair next to mine. What's a mezzanine? Let me Google that. Mezzanine. A mezzanine. A low story between two others in a building, typically between the ground and first floors. Okay. So we're a bit elevated. Hey, where were you? I was right here. Where were you? No, you were not. I was here until the voting began. I mean, maybe I was not in this exam. See, sure, but I was here in the assembly. He looked at Gloria as she and her assistants counted the votes. The speaker's seat was only a few meters away from our platform. I really hope this proposal goes through. Saul is here. What? He's at the back of the hall. Fuck! He tried to get Gloria's attention by waving at her. How many votes left? Gloria looked at Peter. She looked annoyed. It's looking pretty good. 20 more votes to count. Peter turned to me. Thank God. We're going to get this. Come on. Peter looked uneasy. Peter pointed at where Franz Richter was sitting. Look at Franz over there. Sure he was behind this mess. Shouldn't have trusted him. It's not over yet, Peter. Don't jump to conclusions. Well, a single bang from Goliath's gavel reverberated across the hall. Everyone fell silent. The voting has been concluded. I leaned forward to hear the results. The proposal has 179 A's and 72 Nays. Thereby, the Grand National Assembly has surpassed a two-thirds majority and accepted the changes to the Constitution. The proposal will be presented to the Supreme Court shortly for the final voting procedure. The Assembly rolled with all kinds of different reactions. Yes! We did it! Just the beginning. The MPs kept shouting in the hall. Among them I heard Franz Richter's voice. I want to congratulate the members of the Assembly and the President for finally passing changes to our dusty old Constitution. I want to thank the members of the USP for working with our party. I hereby invite the Supreme Court to do the right thing by not ignoring the decision of the Grand National Assembly that was elected by the Swedish people. Loud applause came from the reformist seats. Suddenly I noticed Saul slowly rising from his seat at the back. He seemed to be struggling. He used his cane for help. He stood and gazed around the hall as all the members of the National Assembly were silent. I will keep watching him. I kept watching him as he stared at the MPs. He walked out the exit as two of his guards held the doors for him. Thank God he didn't do anything. In any case, the proposal has passed the Assembly, but now we have to think about the Supreme Court. I'll talk to the key figures of the court. We'll be fine. Now I have complete trust in you. After I talked with Peter about the vote, we both left the hall to discuss our next steps. We waited for Sergeant at the entrance. Alright. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Constitutional changes passed by the Assembly. Rains reforms went over Assembly. Richter congratulates the President. New Constitution passes the Assembly. Count as surprised. In spite of heavy opposition and special appearance from old man Tarkin Saul himself, President punished Saul, like punished Snake, punished Saul. Okay. President Train actually managed to get his constitutional reforms past the Assembly. We've been advocating for change to Saul's dusty constitution for years. Although it's doubtful that the changes Rain is advocating are the same as those we have in mind, even if Rain decided to come down on the side of democracy and fairness, A proposal like this past Gloria Tori's gavel must have required a great deal of compromise. Getting approval from the Supreme Court will require even more. Meeting on the results of the Assembly vote. Lucian, Peter, and I convened on the massive balcony of the palace. It was nice to catch a breeze in the increasing summer heat. Both had grins on their faces, but Peter's got larger as he kept recounting our success in the assembly. Fellas, the first obstacle has been cleared. Congratulations to all of us. Great job, gentlemen. Peter leaned on the balcony railing. What about Tarkin's soul? Did you see him again? As far as I know, he's still staying in Holsworth. Hasn't scared to pay his respects to President Drain yet. What the hell was that all about anyway? Him appearing out of nowhere. He came to the assembly to make a statement, but he's still vulnerable. I'm sorry that we failed to warn you he would be attending, Mr. President. We should have been informed about his arrival. What Lucian said. We apologize. It's all good. In a situation such as this, I would have expected Carl to report it to me, but it's no excuse. We should have done our own research. What's done is done. Let's not linger in the past. You're right, sir. Must plan ahead now. Yeah, we have the first hurdle cleared, but now we have the Council of Grumpy Old Men in our way. I have to say that's a fitting description for the court, but unfortunately for us, they are more than that. They're our largest obstacle yet. Also, you're forgetting about Mrs. Edmonds. They're not all grumpy old men. Excuse me? Excuse me. I, Okay, so possibly the mic could have caught some burping noises here and there. I'd like to remind people that I am not a robot. I am a human being uh, with a human body that has some weird functions. All right. So excuse me, but also understand it. The real trouble is their big daddy Hawker. Can't let him control the court against us. We surely cannot. We'll need to work with Mr. Garachi and Mrs. Edmonds to undermine Orso. Mrs. Morgana has been helping out with the lobbying of the court. She has all been speaking with Mrs. Edmonds, and we believe she's our key figure on the inside. Our lobbying efforts are continuing positively, but they have yet to yield concrete results. It will be ultimately up to Mrs. Morgana and you to persuade the justice, sir. And you already have Nia inside the court. That's one vote out of 11. It's fine. We can do it together. I trust Nia. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but Mrs. Morgana cannot do this alone. Let's not forget about Mr. Hawker and his loyalists. We'll still need to reach out to the old guard and the moderates in order to reach 6 votes. Do you think we can do it? We've come this far. Anything is possible. If we cannot get Mrs. Edmonds centrist, we will have no choice but to reach out to the old guard. Hey, we won the vote comfortably. I'm sure that counts for something. There is at least some pressure on the court now. The court still sees us as a threat. They will not be persuaded so easily. We never expected this to be easy. Nothing has changed. That's true, sir. In any case, we should start with our best bet. I already asked Nia to arrange a meeting with Mrs. Edmonds. She's willing to speak with you. That's a good start. If she's willing to talk, she's willing to cooperate. I'm sure you convinced her. Lucia suddenly turned around and pointed at the side entrance of the balcony. Look who's coming. It was Franz Richter. He slowly walked up to us with a smile on his face. Afternoon, gentlemen. How are you all doing? Afternoon, Mr. Richter. We're doing good, friends. Enjoying the victory at the assembly. Oh yes, I should congratulate you again for passing the proposal. You deserved it. We should also Thank you for your efforts. You were a tremendous assistance. Franz bowed his head slightly in response. I'm looking forward to having many more cooperations between us and victories. I wish you good luck with the Supreme Court. I have conversed with Mrs. Morgna and Justice Zizek. We have at least 3 justices supporting the proposal. You must be united if you want to break them. You must also be seen as united more than ever. Therefore, I'd like to propose a proper alliance for the next elections and more in-depth collaboration throughout the rest of the current term. I'd love to accept such a proposal, Mr. Richter. That's great to hear. Such a grand coalition has never happened in Solent before. We should show people that our parties can work together, that civility and cooperation is possible. It would surely have a great symbolic meaning, especially if we can change the constitution. I'll reach out to you soon about it. We must start organizing and announce it as soon as possible. I think that on one hand, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And a coalition with the reformers could help us in the long run. And that's also keep them on our good side. Franz reached down at his pocket, fumbled with a handkerchief, and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Anyway, I'll leave you three to it. We should catch up soon. Let's get back inside now. The sun is getting intense. He walked back to the door and left the balcony. Well, that was interesting. So we are seriously joining forces with the PFGP, huh? I believe that will only be beneficial for our position. Actually, I agree, but a coalition government could make things much more difficult for us down the road. Peter is not entirely wrong. Entirely? What is that supposed to mean? There's nothing wrong. A coalition government with the reformers can mean a lot of things. But one thing is for sure, once Mr. Richter enters our government, it will be hard to get him to leave. We should be careful, sir. Yoshin looked at his watch. I think it's time to conclude our little meeting, sir. There was a tap on my shoulder. Livia Suno had joined us on the balcony. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Mr. President David Whiskey is calling about the upcoming foreign policy meeting. Perfect time. Tell him I'll be right there. I will, sir. She turned to leave the balcony and come back to us. Congratulations on the victory, Mr. Rain. Peter. She looked Peter in the eye as she said this, and ignored Lucian altogether. His eyes followed her as she walked out. Getting pretty hot out here. Okay, let's call it finished. You may both go. Alright, gentlemen. See you later. By the way, Peter is fucking the secretary. Look at his face. Peter is fucking the secretary. And it's like, just look at his face. Look at how things went. And I already played the game, so I know what the fuck is going on. And I believe most of us have also played the game, so we know what the fuck is going on. So this is going to be an issue to deal with because, again, Peter is our Abdul Hakim Amir, and it's tricky to deal with Abdul Hakim Amir. Alright, gentlemen, we see you later. They both left. Right? So, read the report. Richter congratulates vote results. Today's press statement. Richter congratulated President Rain for the successful vote. In his speech, he showed support for the USP leadership and called the Supreme Court to vote in favor of the proposal. Rumberg whistleblower arrives. A whistleblower from the Rumberg Security Bureau has escaped to Sorland by crossing the border and turned himself to the authorities in Estron. Agent Chelston Hailstone has promised to reveal extremely sensitive information about the development of a weapons program. We can give refuge to him at risk as diagonizing Rumberg or send him back. We will grant asylum. We will grant asylum. Fuck you, Rumberg. Fuck your death to Rumberg. Death to Rumberg. Solans accepts whistleblower. Who is Chelston Hailstone and what does he know? That's the question of the day as President Rain has agreed to grant refuge to this rogue national security agent from Bromberg. After escaping to Solent, Hailstone promised to reveal sensitive government information in exchange for asylum. Whether Rain's decision will be worth the anger and possible retaliation from Bromberg government remains to be seen. I mean, Bromberg is developing nuclear weapons. That much I know. Whisperer was in safe house. After receiving Agent Shelston Hailstone, we have secretly transferred him to a safe house near Antel. The perimeter is guarded by special forces units to ensure no escape or rescue attempt can be conducted by Ramberg intelligence. The agent is currently being interrogated thoroughly to make sure that the preliminary information provided is accurate. Invitation to the movie premiere. I had been invited to an exclusive preview of Alfred Kirbuk. It's a Swedish film director, producer, and screenwriter. He's one of the most influential Swedish directors of the decade. Whatever. New film, The Morning Shall Come. Although I wasn't in much of a movie-going mood. It would have been unpresidential not to attend. With its massive budget and Kirbuk's directional cachet, this drama was said to be a milestone for Solon's burgeoning film scene. Personally, though, I was just looking forward to spending some time with my family. It was a very hot and sunny day as Serge drove us to the old capital. The film was to be screened in the historic cinema Anglais de Erlori, the very first cinema in Solent. I gazed at the vast plains between Holsord and Erlori as we drove on the H1. Serge had maxed out the air conditioning to keep the Cadilla comfortable. Frank fidgeted with his tie as he stared out the window. Worried about the university exams, son? Since when do you care what's happening in my life? I've been busy lately, but I always have time for you. What an honor, Your Highness. Frank, don't talk to your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. You're hurting me, Frank. Frank turned his head away to look outside the window. Turned to Dina. Excited for the movie, sweetie? Dina nodded happily. What about you, Papa? You want something, right? You should smile and keep doing your best even if you lose. And yes, I am gonna do the Super Mario voice for Dina whenever she pops up. We're just fine, Dina. Everything's going to be wonderful from now on. Right, Monica? Of course, let's just focus on having a nice time at the movies. Monica folded her arms. We drove in silence. We drove on in silence. Serge rolled down the soundproof glass between us. Sir, we are about to enter Erlori. We'll be at the cinema in a few minutes. Thank you, Serge. I took a brief look outside as Serge rolled the soundproof glass up again. Could see the many towers of Erlori rising over what was left of the old city walls. Serge knocked on the glass and gestured forwards. We were at the main square of Erlori, and the historic Cinema Anglais, the Cinema of Angels, was right in front of us. Is this the place? Yeah. It was an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that looked like marble from a distance. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of every window. Serge pulled the car to the entrance of the building, which was lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors. On the wall next to the entrance, there were painted the words "Stop the oppression of bloods." Come on, let's get out. Serge opened the doors, and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block the path. Mr. President, your constitution reforms made it through the Assembly. How do you feel about their changes to the Supreme Court? I trust the justices will make the right decision. Thank you, Mr. President. And were you aware that Arkansas will be present at the proceedings? Of course I was. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. In contrast with the cinema's Baroque style, I said of course I was because I want to show that I am very fucking confident in myself and my reforms. In contrast with the cinema's Baroque style exterior, the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer, with glasses of champagne in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers and the event organizers. A man walked up to us with quick steps. Madam, Mr. President, it's so good to see you here. He gently bowed at Monica and shook our hands. It's an honor to meet you. I'm Alfred Kirbuk. The honor is mine, Mr. Kirbuk. I'm a big fan of your work. Frank snorted, glanced at him, and he instantly took a sip of his cola. It's very humbling to know that you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind me my asking, which one was your favorite? This one may be slightly different than my previous works. All of them are my favorites, Mister. All of them are my favorites. He laughed. You flatter me too much, Mr. President. I myself know they aren't all winners. Come now, just pick one. Fuck, fuck. Okay, it's a 50-50 chance. 50-50 chance. 50-50 chance. 50-50 chance. Fuck it. I love the Soldier's Dream. Oh, really? Then you might enjoy this one too. I'll admit, I didn't expect you to be such a cinephile. Frank looked me in the eye and struggled not to laugh. Why don't we take our seats? It's about to start. We entered the screening room, the lights dimmed, and the film began. It was a period drama set in the 1870s about a soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed Scottish farmer during the conquest of Berkshire. I wondered briefly whether Kirbuk was commenting on my own treatment of the British people, but then he had finished filming long before I became president. As the credits rolled, I made an early exit to use the men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me. So, what did you think? Dr. Soul leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I've noticed at the assembly meeting. Yet up close, could still sense the raw magnetism that had kept him in power for 20 years. I found the plot questionable, but it certainly looks spectacular. What about yourself? Sentimental pablum for the enjoyment of housewives only, and for a period piece, this script contained far too many anachronisms. What's an anachronism? Just to be sure I'm on the same page. Anachronism. Belonging or appearing to a period other than the one being portrayed. And pablum. What's a pablum? Pablum meaning. Bland or insipid intellectual matter, entertainment. Okay. Indubitably. What the hell were you doing at the assembly voter stall? I'm surprised you're still around, sir. What were you doing at the assembly? My country was about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by. I still have immense respect for you, Colonel. I wish it was reciprocated. It will be when you prove yourself worthy of it. Why do you want why do you want these reforms blocked so? A true president knows when he must step down. A lesson you'd be wise to learn yourself. I will not let you and that bleeding heart idiot Richter tarnish my precious the Constitution. I'm doing this for the good of the country. Ha! Some of his spittle landed on my cheek. You'll find out soon enough how your country repays you for your goodness. He slipped past me and out the door. So security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that had gathered. The Tarkin soul. That's Tarkin's soul! I heard someone scream, Scott's close around him and mine around me. By the time the chaos subsided, I was back in the car with my family and Soul was long gone. Okay, so much to do, so much to see. News. Solan faces mounting threat from the FF terrorists. Rain and Soul meet. New law on education and the Swedish language. Okay, whatever. New language bill, a milestone for integration. Lotus, Lotus separatism is about to become a thing of the past, but the train has wisely approved. Oh yeah, basically this newspaper glazes us. One film, two very special guests. Okay. Washroom Summit. What are Rain and Soul hiding? Rain signs racist bill. Well, they hate us because they ain't us. Customs operations. Fuck. Customs operations in Lakavan have stagnated with no significant changes in business volume or workforce size. The company continues to operate as usual, providing stable energy supplies but without any substantial growth or innovation in its services. You know what? Status quo is good. Status quo is good. Language bill protests in Belgium. After the passing of the language bill, a wave of bloodless protesters have risen and called for its revocation. The governor of Persia reported that the situation has been brought under control and the regional police forces have been tasked. Okay. Two organizations declare support for BFF. The largest bloodish nationalist organization in Erzaran, Children of Islam, and local Golcondas called Golconda Bluderat have publicly declared its full support for the militant organization BFF. Children of Islam, known for its strong advocacy of blood rights and interests aligning itself with the BFF publicly, has raised concern about the potential escalation of violence and destabilization in the region. The Asgraf reported that both organizations are now considered to be supporters of terrorism and thus will be swiftly taken to justice. Bloodish students dropped school in protest. Thousands of Bloodish students dropped out of their schools in protest after teachers were forbidden to use the Bloodish language in teaching. A Bloodish teacher who did not abide by the new law was reportedly arrested by the regional police for the Persia for teaching mathematics in Bloodish. I mean, you know, merging the both, like the textbooks to be in Swordish, and then the teacher used both languages, that works. Golconda's threat against Dasnurists. Governor Kroll has issued a warning to the residents of Persia, urging them to remain vigilant against the threat of Golconda's extremists and potential violence targeting the Dasnurist community. The governor expressed concerns about rising tensions between the two Nurist groups, specifically highlighting the threat that Golcondaism poses to the region. Kroll emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and harmony within the special zone and called upon the residents to report any suspicious activities or individuals to the authorities. The governor assured that necessary measures will be taken to measure the safety and security of all residents regardless of their religious beliefs. Okay, so we have these two, and we have ceremonial duty for the day of the ascension. Okay. ATO's IEC uncovers energy resources in Polaris. The ATO's International Expedition Command has established a groundbreaking presence in Polaris, uncovering a wealth of untapped energy resources. These resources, showing promise of sustainability and high yield, have sparked global interest and paved the way for further explorations in the polar region. A scientific achievement, the discovery is said to be a potential game changer in the energy sector. During the expedition, the team also encountered indigenous communities that had remained untouched by modern civilization. As they were brought into contact with the outside world for the first time, the ATO now faces the delicate task of respecting their cultural integrity when enabling their integration into the global community. It's a fine balance to strike between advanced scientific exploration and ensuring the welfare of these unique communities. Magnolia warns against Vogslandian threat to the seas. Yesterday, Prime Minister Van Hoorten made a statement denouncing Vogsland activities in the Marken Sea. Okay. The Peace and Peace Armada to assess XEC. In a spirited demonstration of international solidarity, the CSP has dispatched a peace armada to assist the Xenan economic cooperation in combating piracy. The move has been warmly received by the XEC member nations, and particularly Kinal, Selina, Narashima, and Fenkau, and further strengthens the cooperative ties between CSP and XEC. Peace Armada, led by the flagship vessel Slovaria, comprises of a diverse fleet of destroyers, frigates, and support vessels. Their mission is not only to deter piracy, but also to provide humanitarian aid and bolster maritime security in the region. With this action, the CSP reaffirms its commitment to upholding international maritime security and extends its support to allies and strategic partners during times of crisis. It also showcases the CSP's dedication to fostering a secure and stable environment for international trade and commerce. Third, Dia extends blessing on Ascension Day. Supreme Wise Man Georgia Azmal has issued a special address on the second day of the Ascension, sending blessings to the global Norse community, including those in Sorland. He encouraged all to reflect on the teachings of Nurti and specifically Saint Uruek and to uphold its principles in their daily lives. In a veiled reference to recent tensions, he appealed for reaching Golconda and mutual servitude to God among all nations, irrespective of their beliefs. Let's go to there. Ceremonial duty for the day of the Ascension. Morning haze surrounded the city of Deir as the sun dawned on the day of the Ascension, the holiest day of the Nuriti religion. It celebrated the first message received from God by Saint Das and his 30 disciples. As per tradition, the celebration was held inside the Ark Sanctuary of Das Nuriti, close to the public eye. This year, however, for the first time ever, it was going to be televised. That was Lucian's idea, as he saw it, granting the people a rare glimpse of the grand ceremony and showing them how seriously their president took this holy event would ease any tensions that lingered in the region. And so we arrived at the largest cathedral in Solent. A huge crowd gathered around our convoy as our car pulled up to the entrance. This will work out well, trust me, sir. Of course, that's only if the prayer is done completely correctly. Please don't forget the order. First, you will need to grasp the holy scepter with your left hand, then touch the altar with your right. Kneel before the archpriest and wait for him to put the sword on your shoulder. Then touch the sword with the hand you touched the altar with, meaning the right. Hand the scepter over to the archpriest and receive the sword before passing it on to a disciple. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Very good. You will have to go first. I will come inside later and we will meet up after your part is done. Good luck, sir. Exit the car. I exited the car and I was greeted by a chorus of cheers and camera flashes. I waved to the people as I made my way to the grand gates. The Ark Sanctuary was a sight to see. With its towering visage, it cast a shadow over a large portion of the city. I had to crane my neck to see the narrow spires at the top, because standing next to it made me feel awe and dread in equal measure. As I reached the gates, I spotted my welcoming committee. The archpriest and his disciples were waiting for my arrival. At my approach, they bowed their heads in respect. The archpriest gave me an infectious smile as he straightened back up, tall and handsome in his mid-50s. He was one of the youngest and most popular archpriests in history. Some of his more avid followers even likened him to Saint Das. Mr. President, praise God. It is a blessing to see you on our most holy day again. Welcome, welcome. Bow your head before the archpriest. I bowed my head before the archpriest, which triggered a few murmurs of approval from the crowd. The crowd was still cheering loudly. The archpriest turned and raised both of his hands, and immediately fell silent. Oh, great people of Solent, once again we are gathered here to honor the day of Ascension. I am indescribably happy to be sharing this moment with you as well as every blood and sword, old and young, tuning in to their television to watch this holy commemoration. Along with the leader of our great nation, I say, let the holy day begin. Stay far from evil, O sons and daughters, for evil hides itself under many disguises such as blasphemy, apostasy, and even alcohol. Be good, my children. Praise God. Praise Sorland. He smiled beatifically as the crowd burst into rapturous applause. After it subsided, he turned to me. What's beatifically? Let's do with that. In a way that displays great happiness, calmness, or bliss. Okay. All right. Alright, let's continue. Shall we move inside for your confession? Pull the archpriest aside for a photo. Pull the archpriest aside for a photo. Many flashbulbs burned my eyes at the same time. I heard whistles, claps, and cheers from the crowd. Most excellent! He led me through the main hall, which had a stratospheric ceiling and numerous icons lining the walls. We walked up a creaking spiral staircase to the top floor and finally arrived in front of the confession chamber. Right this way. He gestured towards a chair in the dark room. The room smelled of old mahogany and scented candles. The archpriest proceeded to light each and every one of the candles, one for each virtue and vice. I will be right with you. He left the room. A minute later, I heard the sound of a sliding window right next to me. He spoke with a very soft voice. Anton Rain, speak. Speak and confess now before the one God, and may he repent your sins on the most holy day of the Ascension. I confess that I am not sure what I am doing for Solland is enough. You do carry a heavy burden on your shoulders. What you have confessed is not a sin, but you may share your burden with me if you like. I'm trying to reform the country, but I don't know if the country is ready for it yet. Reformation is one of the tenets of purity, yet it must come slowly but surely. Anything else you would like to confess? No, I did not. I was not involved in shady dealings. I was not a corrupt man, and I have not been a bad husband. I am supporting my wife. That's all for today. That's all for today. Before God, thank you for sharing. You're now forgiven before God, Anton Rain. May you never sin again. The sliding window closed, and the archpriest entered the confession chamber. For the confession to end, you must extinguish the candles representing each one of your virtues and vices. With this, the one burning sins connected to you are now smoke, and then nothing. Extinguish the candles. One by one, I extinguished the candles. Well done, President. Let's move on to my quarters before the ceremony. He led me through thousand-year-old corridors to his office. The smell of dust and old tomes was in the air, along with the scent of burning incense being prepared for the ceremony. Well then, please have a seat. The wooden chair next to him looked like it might turn to dust at a single touch. I sat down gingerly. It was surprisingly sturdy. They're ready for the ceremony. Absolutely. Very good to hear. He leaned back in his chair comfortably. I wanted to give you something, a gift to celebrate this special day. He pulled out a large rectangular box from his desk drawer. The box was lined with gold and expensive gemstones. A beautiful sight, isn't it? He opened the box and showed me what was inside. It was a dagger. The handle looked like it was made of pure gold and had a very large gem at the end. On the blade, the words were inscribed, Vector Sista, victory is close. On the other side, another set of words, King Egmont. This dagger belonged to King Egmont. It is a very important artifact of the Kingdom of Solent era. It is now yours, Mr. President. You cannot accept this. Yes, you can, sir. It's now yours. Think of the past and think of who we are. Traditions are what brought us here to this point. Now then, it should be right about time. A couple of knocks were heard on the door. The young boy came in. He bowed before the archpriest, then me, for letting us know that the ceremony was about to begin. We made our way downstairs, where the ceremony was already in progress. The choir sang angelically, and the archpriest took his position beside the altar. When they finished their hymns, an excellent silence fell over the room. It was time for my part. I started my walk, bowed, and approached the altar. I, will, I grabbed the scepter with my left hand, then touched the altar with my right. Scepter in hand, I knelt before the archpriest. The archpriest laid his sword on my shoulder. Touched the sword with I touched the sword with my right hand. I handed the scepter to the archpriest and waited for him to give me the sword. The archpriest handed me the sword. I passed the sword to a disciple. I got up and proceeded to my designated spot next to Lucian. He leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Compared to last year, that went surprisingly well, sir." My eyes met the archpriest's, and he very slightly nodded. The ceremony went on for another hour and a half. Finally, the noon bells chimed, marking the end of the cathedral service. We left to greet the waiting crowd. As I stepped outside, I heard everyone cheering and chanting my name. Lucian's gambit seemed to have been a success. We waved proudly for a minute or two. "See, sir, I told you it would work." We entered our cars and drove back to our suites in the air. President attends the Day of Dissension. Derby and blessings for social dissension ritual. Supreme Wise Man Jorga Azmal has expressed his deep appreciation for the President Anton Drain's successful conduct of the Day of Dissensions rituals. Congratulated the President on his performance and sent blessings on behalf of the Nourish Republic of Derdia. Asma's congratulatory messages highlighted the potential for religious diplomacy and fostering strong relations between our countries. However, he expressed hope that this religious goodwill can translate into improved political and social conditions for all Nourists, but specifically Bulankundist in Sorla. Hey there, Logan, what's up? I'm doing alright. I'm actually almost wrapping up the stream. I think I'm going to do with the dinner with the family at home event, and then I will end the stream, I believe, because it's almost midnight. So let's do this. Dinner with the family at home. Today's Thanksgiving here in the USA, but the only thing I like about this holiday is the food, so I'm going to play both and just doing super good. Super good. Oh yeah, it is Thanksgiving in the US, so happy Thanksgiving to my American viewers and subscribers. And today also happens to be the anniversary of the ceasefire of last year's ceasefire in Lebanon. However, doesn't feel like much of a ceasefire with thousands of Israeli violations. Over 300 dead people since the ceasefire started. A lot of injured people and a lot of destroyed properties. May tomorrow bring us better circumstances. Thank you, Logan. I arrived home from work, hung my jacket up, and put my briefcase in the hall. I paused, awaiting my usual greeting from my wife and daughter, Dina. My daughter, Dina, was out at one of her after-school art classes, I remembered. But where was Monica? From the living room, I heard a muffled sob. Later to find Monica sitting on the sofa, letter in her hands, the look of despair on her face. "Darling, what's wrong?" Monica briefly rested her head on my shoulder, then handed me the letter. Yeah. "It's from the Department of Education. Frank's university exam results are in." "How did he do?" "See for yourself." I looked at the page below Frank's name and address. His score was written. 435 points out of a total of 1,000. At the bottom of the letter, the word failed was stamped in red. All those years of effort, all those private lessons, all down the drain. You know what this means? He's going to have to join the military. He could die, Anton. Does he know the results yet? No, but he should be back from school soon. Just don't understand. Frank's a smart boy. Why would he sabotage himself like this? I heard a key turning in the front door. Frank stomped in and was about to go straight upstairs when he noticed us both in the living room. "Mom? Dad? What's going on?" "Have a seat, Frank." He took a seat across from us and I handed him the letter. He started reading it. "Oh, shit." Sorry, you have to say? I need a moment. He went to the kitchen sink and washed his face. A moment later, he came back. I never thought this would happen. I'm so sorry. It's not the end of the world. Pretty close, though, isn't it? Frank looked close to tears. Monica put her hands on his shoulder. It's going to be okay, but you really should have studied harder, Frank. I know. I guess it's the army for me then. So it seems. Nasser's son was drafted into was conscripted into the army. No, I think he was in the army training camps when the 6 Day War happened. So it seems. Anton, isn't there anything you can do? If Alfonso could get his dimwit son into Kings Hill University, I'm sure Holsworth State would have room for a bright boy like Frank. I'm not going to take life lessons from Ewald Alphonse. Also, state would be amazing. A bunch of my friends are going there. I could still come home to do my laundry. But I failed the exam. This sucks. Are you sure about all this? Isn't it technically illegal? No, I won't influence your life. You've got to live with what you've done. Because, you know, there's a lot of shit in the world. People have responsibilities in this world. Your failure is your own responsibility. You might have the deck stacked against you, but at the end of the day, if you do not tackle your own responsibilities as a student, failure could lead. Frank did not study hard enough. He said he will pass it. He did not pass it. He did not do the basics of being a student. His basic responsibility at that age was studying to pass an entry exam to enter a university. Excuse me. There's always next time. You could always do it again. It's not the end of the world, but however, you need to take accountability. Do not despair and take accountability for your actions, for your responsibilities. I played a super girl who fought Brainiac, destroyed their planet, killed a lot of her people, and stole some cities from the planet. So, with defeating him, she restored some of those cities on Earth. That's interesting. Hopefully, the cities restored on Earth didn't cause any issues. I understand principles are important, but Anton, which is more important, your principle or your son's future? My principles, of course. I knew it. If it's so important to you, I'll join the goddamn army. I won't be around to disgrace you any further. Frank, wait. Frank ran upstairs to his room. I'm going upstairs after him. I'll say nothing. Monica went upstairs after Frank and I started reading documents before dinner. I mean, listen. As a father, as a father, my job will be to teach my children accountability. You have your responsibilities. You need to uphold your responsibilities and you need to be accountable for them. It is not the end of the world if you fail an entry exam. But I cannot use I cannot use family ties. I cannot use political power to help my son fix some of his issues. He should have studied. His failing is on him. Take care, Logan. His failings are and shortcomings are on him. He'll get another chance, and he will learn from this mistake. He will get another chance. He will apply himself harder, and he will get into a university. But for now, but for now, he needs to live with the consequences of his actions. Enough with the bloodish protests. Once again, the bloodish protests in the country have claimed its toll. This time, the toll was an injured child. On his way home from school, 13-year-old DK unknowingly entered the protest grounds. The police tried to suppress the protesters Chaos ensued. Trapped between the police and the protesters, he was injured in the following stampede. His treatment still continues in Hulsor General Hospital. When will this end? We are demanding answers from the administration. Ashraf anniversary. Watani Ashraf, hero to some, enemy to others, he is for sure one of the most controversial figures to have ever lived in our country. As his anniversary is approaching, there is one question that is shared in everyone's minds. What will the administration do? Every year, people gather in Erzaran to hold a vigil in a solemn anniversary of his death. They light their candles in his memory and hold cultural festivals. What is different this year, however, are the claims that the British movement will be holding the largest rally yet in Erzaran during the anniversary. Perhaps it's time for the administration to let bygones be bygones and take a step back and display the unity of Sorland, the people who very much need it. Okay, we can have the briefing on strategy. New school is completed. Narbel celebrated the opening of its new secondary school, a two-story building with 50 classrooms and a state-of-the-art teaching equipment. The school was funded as part of the government initiative to improve rural access to education. Well, I'm glad to hear that. ATO expressed concerns over drug trafficking in Central Maricopa. ATO has issued a vehement condemnation of the drug trafficking activities in Central Maricopa. The illicit trade is said to span several regions, including Karad, Erdmark, Wellen, and is particularly concentrated in Agar. A growing concern for the international community, Agar, under the rule of Nacro Lord Severo Rios, has earned an infamous reputation as a major hub of the narcotics trade. Rios, however, maintains that his intentions are to regulate and legitimize the drug trade, rather than exploiting it illegally. Surprisingly, he has even expressed an interest in acquiring ATO observer status in an attempt to engage more openly with the international community and elevate concerns. Nevertheless, ATO's concerns revolved around not just the law and order aspect, but also the stabilizing socioeconomic impact of this activity. Drug trafficking has boosted the shadow economy, bred corruption, and fueled violence in these regions. The ATO insists on a robust international effort to counter these activities, despite the ambitious and somewhat controversial propositions from Rios. And with that, I believe it's time to end the stream. And next time, we will be discussing our diplomatic strategy. You know what? Fuck it. Let's discuss this diplomatic strategy and go on with our day. Doors to the White Room, like everything else in the Maroon Palace's main nerve center, are painted white. I took a deep breath before pushing them down. Time for yet another meeting. At least this time, it was with people who liked me. The attendees rose up from their seats. Mr. President, Yosef nodded. He and Dushin sat down, while David remained standing. Now that you are here, let's talk about our diplomatic strategy. David cleared his throat. Mr. President, if I may, I would like to provide you with a short overview of where we are at right now. Go ahead. We have successfully passed trade deals with both Quellan and Agnolia, which means we have increased our presence in those regions. These deals were important pieces of leverage and significant first steps into the global arena. We must now look towards the future. It's time to take the next steps. Precisely. David sat down, pulled out a few papers, and started going through them as he kept talking. Welland and Agnolia were practice runs. We must begin improving our relationship with greater nations. We need to elevate our international standings, especially with the threat of Rumberg looming. He also declared his throat. Mr. President, you know me, I don't trust the helping hands that other countries offer us for a good reason. But I also know when those helping hands are necessary, and right now, we need all the help we can get. I've said this over and over, but I will repeat it until you get it through your skull. Rumberg will come sooner or later. And with the current state of our military, if a Rumberg invasion happens, Swarland will cease to exist. We need allies. We ought to head General Lancea's advice, Mr. President. I trust your assessment, Joseph. Thank you, Mr. President. A military perspective is important, but these deals are about more than just gaining allies. We also need to consider the benefits of our economy such deals will provide, especially when we are still struggling to end the recession. David took a seat and brought out two stacks of documents. At the start of our term, I had a comprehensive trade deal plan laid out. Following the visits to Wellen and Agnolia, we were to pursue potential trade deals with two greater nations. Vogsland is one of them. If we can manage to get them to the table where, excuse me, there is much potential here in Wellen or Agnolia, because they are one of the most important countries in the CSP. Deal with Vogsland is a ticket to bring Solon closer to our United Montanan sphere. Dealing with countries in the CSP is dangerous. A simple trade deal wouldn't cause issues unless we decide to go further. Moving on to Lesbia. And I'm only saying this because I got Yosef around us, and he's a hothead against communists. I don't want not want to sound like a leftist to him, or else he will fucking cool me. Our southern neighbor is one of the wealthiest countries in Eastern Europe. A trade deal with them would be very beneficial, not just for our economy, but also for our regional and international presence. Not to mention that they are in the Arcadian sphere. A trade deal with Lesbia could open many doors for us. It's true, a country as influential as Lesbia could help elevate our economy. That is for the overview. As to the actual contents of the trade deal, the investments we have made in the Bergia region has yielded positive results. Lucian? Lucian pulled out a small notebook and quickly flipped through the pages until he landed on the right one. Looking at my stats here, the investments helped increase the wheat output of that region. We now have a surplus, which makes an excellent resource for trade. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to know your decisions before we can proceed. What should we do? Before you say anything, remember what I said. We need allies, not just trade deal. From our attacks, we will fall. Begun negotiations with both Bogsland and Lesbia. Excellent news. I will begin at once. That was all I had for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you, gentlemen. Joseph saluted as we left the White Room. And with that, the clock hit midnight. Literally. I need to go fix the electricity situation, and I'm gonna come back and put an end to the stream. Here we have dinner with the Justice Isabel. Oh, alright. Oh, we have an agricultural zone under construction here. That's cool. Alright, I'll be back in a moment. Alright, everyone. I think in tonight's episode, we had a lot of progress. We passed our constitutional reform through the assembly. We nationalized the big four and put our head up and butted heads with the oligarchs. And did a few things here and there, and did not compromise our principles um, for our son who did not uphold his responsibilities. And that being said, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful night. I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care and goodbye.